Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Late Night Action. We have some fabulous guests this evening.
Have you? My favorite thing about the Blazers is when the producers have them come from behind at the last second and then just barely win. That is some good writing. Cool logo thing this week. The Pinnock Mansion turned 100 this week. The mansion spent its 100th birthday at home with family. Don't fuss over me, said the mansion. The mansion's grandson, this is cool, the mansion's grandson, a 2-bedroom duplex, tweeted, "Happy birthday, Nana Mansion, hashtag 100 years, hashtag building life." So, the Crystal Ballroom also celebrated its centennial this week. Okay, that one you like. Okay, cool, now we know. I like thinking about the Crystal Ballroom, I like thinking about what kind of bands were playing there 100 years ago. You know, I can just picture like a fiddle and 2 guitars and a lot of beards and like a wash, basically the same. Basically the same, that's what that is, yeah. A Falls City, Oregon family this week was arrested for a scheme in which they were trading food stamps for meth. Immediately setting a world record for the poorest poor person crime you have ever heard of. Lloyd Center owners unveiled their plans this week to renovate the famous and don't worry, you guys. They're going to keep the most iconic parts of the mall. The ice rink, the teenagers, the inability to find a goddamn exit or a bathroom. An explosion from a firecracker in a moving car cut off a man's hand while he was driving on Saturday. Yep, that was Spokane. That's what happened. Police aren't exactly sure what happened yet, they said, but they're pretty sure there was a lethal combination of Jaeger and America. So, it's totally understandable because this is such an easy mistake to make, right? You're driving, you've only got 2 hands to hold the steering wheel and your firecracker and a Coors Light and a cigarette. I mean, obviously, it's really easy for something to go wrong there. According to a new census, you guys, fewer people moved to Oregon in 2013. And since you didn't notice any difference, oh yeah? Good. Yeah, here's the thing. No one else noticed the difference, which means all the new people are 8% more obnoxious. That's the only way to explain that. The census also showed that fewer Oregonians are having babies, and right now, deaths are outpacing births in Oregon. The horrible section is here. I think it's only fair right now that we have kind of like a slow time in our growth, right? We have plenty of people. I don't know if you've noticed the lines for brunch, but we're fine on people right now. I don't think anybody should be allowed to have a baby in this state until I can get a table of tin shed in under an hour. That's all I want. Wizard World Comic-Con was last weekend. Did anybody go? Not many people. It's awesome. Well, for the rest of you guys, if you're in the market for a fedora, go check Lost and Found. Neckbeard, though, you gotta grow that yourself. That's on you. That one's yours. This is the best video that happened this week. I don't know if any of you guys saw it. The Pope and some kids released a couple of doves. Did you guys see this video? Amazing, right? It was like peace or something. So they release like 4 doves, and immediately a crow came down and attacked the doves. Immediately. Which is either a terrifying omen from the heavens or a really cool cross-promotion with Game of Thrones, right? Super cool. How's this for a transition? After offering conjugal visits for the last 100 years, the state of Mississippi has stopped the practice. They're no longer offering conjugal visits, so at least I've got my Tuesdays back. That's cool. It's the commute that kills me. That's the hardest part. It's not the sex with prisoners, yeah. The Super Bowl's coming up, which is it's pretty interesting because according to ticket brokers, demand for Super Bowl tickets this year is at an all-time low because, quote, the teams aren't sexy enough. That's what they said. It's so dumb that they're not sexy. It's Denver versus Seattle. Of course they're not sexy. They're fragile football artists. The mayor, actually I think my favorite Super Bowl story is this, is the mayor of Denver made a bet with the mayor of Seattle. And if Seattle wins, the mayor of Denver has to pay him green chilies and a pair of handmade skis. I don't know much about football, but I'm pretty sure there'll be fewer injuries in the Super Bowl than if you ate a bunch of chilies and then went skiing. That is a terrible way to spend a day. And if Seattle loses, the mayor of Denver is going to get from him salmon and a fancy handmade bicycle. How is this not sexy? I don't understand. Whichever team wins, it doesn't matter. As long as if the losing mayor doesn't pay up fast enough, a mobster will break his kneecaps with a handmade artisanal tire iron. So, that's good. That's the monologue, you guys. Yeah. On the Secret Society now. That's cool.
New venue.
New venue. This is the first time here.
All of our show references have to be North Portland now, so we make fun of Tin Shed.
Yeah.
Instead of genies.
Oh yeah. Or dots. No.
Yeah, I don't know. Dots.
You guys don't even know because you're from up north. Anyway.
Yeah. That must be some southern food.
So one of the things that happened is we got sponsored by the Portland Mercury, and so we.
Woo, Portland Mercury!
Cool. Yeah. So that was part of what precipitated the move to the bigger venue. So this is this week's Portland Mercury. There's boobs, that helps. There's always
all right.
Animated laser boobs. So Bree and I, we both write for the Mercury occasionally.
We do,
right?
yeah.
We do that a little bit. So did you know that the Mercury is looking for a new food critic? Did you see that? Did you guys see this? No?
No.
They're offering the princely
For
sum.
the purposes of this bit, no, I haven't heard that. I guess you should.
They are offering the princely sum of $125 a week.
What does that word princely mean? That seems super smug.
It was a little smug, but they didn't say that. I said that. That was an editorial comment.
Oh well, there you go.
I mean, it's not bad. I mean, 100 in Portland money, that's like 5 hats, 3 tiny cheeseburgers, and half of rent. So that's not bad.
Half of
Here's what we did. Since we knew this was happening, so we knew we have some connections in the mailroom, and so we were able to slip out some of the applications.
Sweet.
For the writer's job, and we've hired a professional actor to read some of them to you. Does that sound fun? Yeah. So we have these are cover letters that were written for the job of food critic at the Portland Mercury. Please welcome professional actor Sean McGrath, everybody. Sean McGrath. Semi-professional actor Sean McGrath. Semi-professional.
Dear Portland Mercury, I think the best way to convey my deep and artful appreciation of food and dining is to tell you about my favorite restaurant. The classic Arby's roast beef is an exquisite meat dream. Thinly sliced meat, artfully layered like an artist layers colorful oil paints upon a canvas. The classic sauce speaks of sweetness and loss. The zesty horsey sauce is a hot summer vacation in the mountains, Belgium. Taking a lover in the snow, so cold, but so warm and tender. The French dip and Swiss is an Italian classic. Nay, an essential dish of Italy. Dance on the Tuscan beach at dawn as the steam rises from the hot, savory au jus. Wrap yourself in a warm, chewy hoagie roll and live there as a second womb. There, the sandwich gives life and takes it in an ecstatic cycle of the ages. Arby's is the pinnacle of achievement in sandwiches, 5 stars. I'll await your response, David, age 15. Dear foodies at the Mercury, when you're ready to come down off your elitist high horses, you should hire me. My name is Peter Polly Poppy, and I am a shining beacon of simplicity in a world of overcrowded plates, unnecessary ingredients, and superfluous condiments. As a culinary minimalist, the list of food I won't eat is very long. So instead, I will share one of the foods I will eat. It's a much shorter list. Sandwiches, dry, and with only cheese and 1 deli meat. California rolls, but only if the sushi establishment has enough theatricality to serve it off a small train. Hot Pockets, cooked 30 seconds less than recommended, so they're still a little frozen on the center. Cheetah. And Cobb salad minus everything but bacon. You salivating yet? Hire me and I will keep your readers' mouths wet. Yours truly, Triple P. Triple P. And lastly, to whom it may concern, I am a ghost. and I was poisoned at censored name of Portland restaurant. I think I would make a really good food critic, and I am not at all applying to try and exact revenge and haunt the shit out of said restaurant by slandering them. Namaste, Ghost.
Sean McGrattan, everybody! So much, Sean. Are you ready for our first guest today? Our first non-fake guest, I should say. Our first real guest. Still yes. Okay, good. This is really exciting for us. She's a zinester. She helps organize the Portland Zine Symposium. She's also writes her own zine, The Somnambulist. She's also got a book out, and she is an essayist, and she's absolutely wonderful. Please welcome to the stage, Martha Grover!
Thanks for having me. I'm going to read a little bit from my book first, and this is it. It requires a little bit of explanation, the piece that I'm going to read for you. It's in the center of my book, and the center of my book was one zine that I did in 2008. I got really sick, and I had to move back in with my parents. And I have 7 kids in my family, 8, depending on who you ask. And my dad, for some reason, I mean, I had a good excuse, I was sick, but for some reason, 5 adult children were living with my parents this year. And my dad required us to have weekly family meetings at 9 in the morning every Sunday. And after the first meeting, I was like, this is gold. Like, I have to start taking the minutes. And I posted them on my blog. And then after I moved out, I moved to grad school, I moved away, I put them into a zine, and it was my best-selling zine ever. And then when I had the book published, they became the center of the book chronologically. It's kind of the backbone of the book. So I'm going to read some samplings of those meeting minutes. And what you need to know is that the oldest sibling at home was Sarah. She was 30 at the time. I was 28. And then there was Rachel, Mike, and Simone. Simone was the youngest, and Simone was in high school at the time. She was a senior. 2 themes you just need to know is that Simone... my parents were in willful denial of the fact that Simone was having sex with her boyfriend, Will, and it was kind of this elephant in the room. And then also, Rachel was never home. She was always, half the time she'd spend at her boyfriend's house, and so that was a big thing, was she would never show up to the meetings, and we were all really pissed because we had to go to the meetings and Rachel would never show up. So we start on December 14th, 2008. Rachel is MIA. I am up surprisingly early and am able to start the meeting without having to be drug out of bed. To begin, Dad asked me to reintroduce the idea I had brought up last night while we were watching America's Funniest Home Videos. I think we should change the day and the time of the family meeting, I say. I don't like having it on Sunday mornings because, first of all, personally, I feel the sickest on Sunday mornings. I'm tired from having just worked 2 days, and I get sick after I take my medication. Also, people have whined about having to get up on Sunday morning, and if I had a social life, I might complain about that too. Also, when we talk about chores we want Dad to do, it just seems like he would have a better time remembering if the meeting were to come before his weekend rather than at the tail end of it. Sarah says that there's no way because of her schedule in nursing school that she would accommodate a change in the time of the meeting. Dad says that the only other time that he could see the meeting working would be on Saturday morning. Mom says she would be willing to change it to Sunday night. Changing the meeting time won't help Dad remember anything, says Sarah. I think we should require Rachel to come to the meeting, says Sarah. I agree, I say. Her stuff is here. She needs to come to the meetings. It's not fair that she isn't here. We need to make Simone and Rachel a better situation than that room, says Mom. Sarah states that she has offered 4 times to help Rachel and Simone move Mikey's down to the garage to make room for their I suggest that they obviously don't care. I say that I unloaded and loaded the dishwasher last night and that I refuse to do any more dishes because I wasn't even here on Saturday to eat the big breakfast that Zoe cooked for her German friend Steven, so I wasn't going to do the pans. I'll do it, says Mom. And I would have done it last night, too, but I would rather have talked to you. And like this morning, I'd rather just be with my family than do dishes. If the kitchen were next to the TV, it would be spotless. Like your office, right, Mom? I say. Sarah and I laugh. Burn, says Sarah. Mom says that we hurt her feelings. That's the second time you've laughed at me this morning. My disorganization is a sore spot for me, she says. I apologize for making fun of her. Dad adds that we need to remember to lock the door at night and turn off all the lights. Sarah tells Simone that the bathroom is disgusting and that she and Rachel need to clean it. We asked Simone how the Christmas party at her boyfriend Will's house was last night. It was fun, she says. Sarah asked Simone how her meeting went with Judy, her boss. It was fine, she says. Mom asked Simone if she knows where the SAT books are that Mom gave her. Simone says she does. We should do that today, Mom says. How do you drive in the snow? Simone wants to know. You don't, says Mom and Sarah. Then how will I see Will? Asks Simone. It's his turn to come over here, says Dad. You do understand that rule, don't you, Simone? Why are you trying to control our relationship? Asks Simone. I have to know how to drive in the snow because his car is stuck in the ditch at his house and I have to go pick him up. He has to get his own car out of the ditch, Dad says. It'll be good for him, says Sarah. Men like a challenge, says Mom. December 21st, 2008. Simone is snowed in over at her friend Maggie's house. Sarah wants to know what the status is on the razors in the shower. I say, I must have some new ones somewhere. Well, we shouldn't be sharing razors. It's disgusting and unhygienic. I agree, I say. That shower is disgusting, I say. I think Rachel and Simone should clean it. I am not cleaning it myself, says Rachel. I am also not cleaning our room myself. That would just be a continuation of the pattern between us since we were kids, where Simone does nothing and I have to do everything. Mom says that she noticed that no one's been rinsing their dishes. She loaded the dishwasher last night and came across a full bowl of noodles that hadn't been rinsed. I think it was yours, Martha, she says. I didn't eat pasta yesterday. I said it was Simone's. Dad asks us to please turn off the lights in our bedrooms when we leave them. Dad informs Rachel that she is expected to come to the family meetings if she is staying with us. Mom gets up and checks the water level on the Christmas tree stand. Geez, that thing is already dry, she says. That has got to be the driest Christmas tree we've ever had, says Dad. Look at all those needles on the ground. Well, it passed the dry test at the lot, says Mom. What dry test? Dad wants to know. You run your fingers along a branch, and if needles come off, the tree is too dry. No needles came off, so Mom shrugs. It's a bullshit test, says Dad.
Martha Grover! Yeah. I am so mad at Rachel right now.
I know.
Rachel really needs to get her shit together.
She does.
And, you know, if you read the book, basically nothing ever gets solved. It's just the same thing, you know. When the book came out, the designer, Aaron Robert Miller, he designed the cover. He brought a bunch of pictures, and one of them was a house with all the lights on and all the doors open. And I didn't get it. I was like, what? That doesn't look like my house. And he's like, your dad. Your poor dad never got anything he wanted. So, yes.
Well, one of the things I think is so interesting about this book and about your zine is that you do write so personally about yourself and about your family. How does your family feel about it?
They all know, like, my mom's like, she was a little embarrassed, but she's like, you know, you kept out the most embarrassing things, so.
Well, so when you do this sort of writing about yourself so personally, does that affect the way, like there's meetings where at first they were boring probably, and then you were like, well, now I'm taking minutes, this is golden, so now it's probably more fun?
They were never boring.
Oh, okay.
They were never boring.
But
does
it ever change the way you approach the world that you are writing about it later?
Yeah. One of the things I was thinking about coming here today was thinking about the act of observation, and there can be this slightly creepy element to being a nonfiction writer because you have to step out of the moment. You're not in the moment. You're observing.
Right, like the whole family's having a meeting and you're scribbling in your notebook.
Yeah, exactly.
You're taking yourself out of that meeting.
Yeah, you kind of take yourself out of it, and you know that extends to like everything. You know, not everything, but most things in my life. You know, like just kind of one remove. You're like the photographer. You know, there, and so people that aren't artists or aren't writers, I think they sometimes have a hard time with that. You know.
That reminds me of how I had to live tweet the Emmys.
You're also an artist, Brie, yeah.
Like I wasn't a part of it.
You weren't in the moment.
Because I was looking, it was my art, you know.
So a little later in the show, we're going to give away a copy of your book, one more for the people. And then we also are going to give away a copy of Somnambulist. I've practiced saying this and still messed it up.
That's good. That's great.
Okay, great. So we'll also be giving that. And you can also find more about that. You still do use the web. You can find more about that on somnambulist.com. Excellent. Martha Grover, everybody! Are you ready for our comedian? Let's
Yes.
just keep this train chugging along. Our next performer does an amazing amount of stuff, including he's a comedian down in LA. He's done a bunch of film work. He's also the spokesman for Guitar Center. So he is at least able to play rock and roll, which is pretty awesome. Please welcome to the stage, you guys, the very funny Brock Wilbur! Brock Wilbur! Oh, we'll go here. Yeah, look, is you.
Hey guys. Disclaimer to the set, right before the show started, hit up the bar next door and got the absinthe special. The last time I had absinthe, I was 19 and I cut off this thumb. So we're gonna roll some dice tonight. We're gonna see what happens. If I come up to you later and ask to borrow a knife, think twice. Don't say no. Evaluate. Does Brock have a cheese tray? No? Okay, gonna think this through. I haven't told anybody this before, so I'll share it with you guys. I think you guys would appreciate. I didn't get what I wanted for Christmas. World peace, obviously. Yeah, I am a very good person. So to help make that better, I bought myself a little something. I got myself a gigantic, scary gun. Oh, the scariest gun I could find. I bought myself a gun, and I nicknamed it Batman, because irony. You might, Brock, with the proliferation of gun violence right now, why would you choose to? Here's why. If I see a problem, I have to be a part of it. It's just something that, it's the same part of my brain that in 2007 for 4 months was like, you can just try Scientology. If you don't like it, they won't try to stop you. I had a good line of logic. I was like, the Illuminati isn't real, but Scientology is. It's like being the bad guys in like Spectre in James Bond, and when I'm not shooting at MI6, they put me in movies. That's a pretty good deal. Not many people are. Matt Fraction, I'm offering you that first. Brock Wilbur, Scientology henchman. That's yours, buddy. That's the same part of my brain, and I feel like I've been running this con for long enough. I should just tell you tonight, for the last several years, I have been every single commenter on the Portland Mercury. That's 100% true. You believed real human beings could exist with that much hatred in their heart? Ha 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 ha! What a hilarious prank. So now I've got a gun. Not right now. Not. The idea, some crowds, you get it. You get. If I had a little thing and I was like, yeah, airline food is, that's just Batman. He's a fan. He likes it when people are supportive. Back to the Batcave with you. So now I've got a gun, and I had it for about a week and a half before I realized something that I'd forgotten throughout the entire process of filling out the paperwork and acquiring a handgun, which was this, and this was how the thought came to me. Oh no, I'm me. Me should never have gun. What have I done? It was like, hey, Brock. Yeah, Brock? Have you ever processed your emotions in a healthy way? Not once. That's what I thought. Should we keep talking like this just to drive the point home? No, I think they get it. I think I disagree with you. What are you going to do? I have a gun. See, that's checkmate in 9 moves. That's how fast things escalate. So I did what anybody would do, and I tried to take it back. And guess who has a no return policy? All gun stores. All gun stores ever. Ostensibly to prevent from you taking on the perfect crime, which is killing someone and then returning the gun like nothing ever happened. So imagine the angriest you've ever been in a retail situation, and now imagine you're holding a gun while doing it. And the guy didn't understand. Why can't you just keep the gun? This moment! This right here! What? And there's something very special about yelling at somebody in public while shaking a gun that doesn't have bullets in it. Because your brain's like, this is like a toy, but your balls are like, I am infinity. I can destroy, I have lasers. This guy. So I got off the plane in Portland and I got a call I'm very excited about that might get a part in a TV show, because 2014, everything coming up Wilbur. And I might get that because I am a very talented actor who has lots of respect for the craft. Here is my standard for being a good actor. If you ever see me in anything, you will not be able to tell that the only thought in my head is this. Free coffee and bagels. Free coffee and bagels. Oh my God, free coffee and bagels. All day today, free coffee and bagels. No one can stop me. I can have free coffee. Look to the camera, say the words. If there's emotions in parentheses, make them real so they don't have a shoot again, because that prevents from the coffee and the bagels. They can't stop you. All that can happen is that they can run out. It is you versus time. That's all that acting is. Now you guys can all have very successful. I'm Brock Wilbur. Thank you guys so much.
Brock Wilbur! So you are the spokesman for Guitar Center.
Yes.
On TV?
On the TV box, on the radio, on the internet.
Do you play a guitar player, or are there like guitar players and then you're like, these guys play guitar, come into Guitar Center? Like, what do you?
I think it's like a Jack Black, but like a Jack Black you would actually want to meet in person. I think that's the idea of the.
You are the approachable Jack Black. That's your job.
Hey, instead of just screaming it in your face until your eyes pop. So that's not far off.
How are a bunch of grizzly, bedraggled guitar players supposed to relate to you, Brock Wilbur? That was a little joke about how he's got a beard and he's kind of disheveled.
Living the life.
Aw. No. You nearly knocked her out of your chair with
Not Portland disheveled, but L.A. disheveled for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm L.A. homeless. That's...
You're a Portland CEO for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. You'd be mayor in that outfit.
I run a yoga studio, you know.
I just brew beer and have a marketing consultancy. Consultancy?
That's a business word. You were right. They say consultancy. If you look, your website is like the most terrifying thing that I've ever seen for an artist. It's like, I do all of this stuff. What are you up to? That's what it looks like when I read. It's like watching Jiro Dreams of Sushi. It's like when I read your website, all I think about is like, why am
That's
I not...
my favorite compliment of all time.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. It's like, what am I doing with my life?
If Jiro was a 20-something with an Adderall prescription, that would be...
Guys, I think it's pronounced gyro. I eat a lot of ethnic food.
You do?
Did you come out with a new comedy album?
Yeah, I do a new one every year, and then I kill all of my...
That's terrible, dude.
So...
That's really... I mean, because like 43-year-old comedians do that, not 20-somethings.
Well, I mean, it's when you first start watching comedy and people are like, this just happened to me, and it's like, that's 9 years ago. So Reagan was in the White House, and that's I'd just rather not be that. So
probably not 9 years ago, but yeah, I get the idea. He might have been visiting. I don't know.
He was. There's a lot of conspiracy theories to get through tonight.
Yeah, I haven't heard. What's that guy been up to lately? Is that not really funny? Are we not okay with that?
Should we tell her? It's gonna be. Let's not tell her.
I'll just go to the library.
He went to the ranch.
The president's ranch, where all the presidents can frolic.
It's okay, Brie.
Brock.
So Brock, Crime Travel is your new.
Yeah, Crime Travel is the new album. We recorded that in an illegal underground venue in San Francisco beneath the last indie video rental store.
That's the coolest phrase.
Yeah.
We recorded it in an illegal venue is how all these stories should be. That's awesome.
The fire marshal said that the max capacity for the room is 0. So we just tried to not die in a fire. That's a great way to keep people on their toes during a recording.
And what's the best way for people to get that record?
iTunes or Amazon. It's all out there and super cheap. Or on Bandcamp, it's pay what you want. So if you want to get that for
even cheaper,
goddamn free tonight, and my first album, you can just have at those.
Brock Wilbur. Also, all this information is on brockwilbur.com.
Which is like the Jiro Dreams of Sushi.
It's like Jiro's resume. That's what it's like.
I'm just so happy we've come so far, because when I met this guy, we were doing the TARDIS room together. And I was just so excited that night because the bartender looks just like Matt Smith. And I was like, oh, how do they get the guy to do that? And that's so cool. And then I asked for gin and tonic, and the first ingredient he put in was vermouth. And I was like, everything just came together right now. And I mentioned that on stage, and I've never had anybody be so mean to me after a show. I was like, I'm trying really hard. I know, but you're a time traveler. You don't be pissed at me. This is...
Brock Wilbur, everybody. BrockWilbur.com. I'm just going to...
Nope, he hugged me. Sit down.
it's football weekend coming up, and so we decided to send me, and by we I mean my producer Pat decided to send me to try out for a football team. So I don't know if you guys know this. There's a new professional football team in town. They're an arena football team. They're called the Portland Thunder. They're starting out this year, and they held open tryouts. And so my producer insisted that I go test what they mean by the word open. So this is what happened when I tried out for a professional football team. Please enjoy.
This is the first time I filled out a form and I've been like, I'll put my actual weight. They're not gonna make fun of me.
Good luck.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Hey, good luck.
I think I got a chance.
Okay, yeah. You got the hands, baby?
No, I'm gonna kick. I'm gonna kick.
Oh, you're gonna kick?
Yeah.
Oh,
You're not allowed to hit a kicker, right?
What are your like 3 tips on how to survive this tryout?
Don't run it faster than your hamstrings can handle. 1. When you're cutting, don't break an ankle.
Okay.
And 3, make sure you're drinking plenty of water.
You're not worried about anybody hitting me, either in the head or in the junk?
The junk, yes.
I didn't bring a cup, so I'm a little worried about that.
You don't need a cup. Cups are like for 4th and 5th grade. Professional people, they don't wear cups anymore.
Really?
Yeah, without a doubt, no.
I'm going to check in with you again afterwards, and I want you to tell me honestly how I did. I want your honest opinion, but I want you to also remember that I have feelings and that they're very sensitive.
I will not swear at you or yell at you at all.
Well, I'm going to sweat. I don't want to get it in my eyes. I don't want to sweat in my eyes. It's awesome. Ooh, okay.
ready to get started.
Yeah.
So if I can get everything
some stretching. I didn't get a chance to stretch yet.
Hey, what did I say? We're out here playing football, guys. We got to have a good time. We got to have a lot of smiles on our face. Okay? This is it. We got to make history, gentlemen. Someone's going to be one of our next stars.
We're going to play football. We're not going to work football. This is about fun. It's about fun.
You guys, let's get a thunder break. Okay? Let's get us a nice thunder break. Come on, big fella, get up. Okay.
I didn't get in fast. What do you think I should do for this tryout to impress people?
Just give it your all and have fun.
That's your plan, is to have fun?
Yeah, have fun, definitely.
Do you think they take guys who have the most fun?
No, but a big smile on your face always helps.
Wow, these guys. A lot of fast guys. I didn't realize there was a lot of fast in this game. I thought this game was all about, like, that's making love. That's what that is. Everybody said they have fun, and you said to smile, too.
Yeah.
It seems like people who play football for real never are having fun. They're very serious.
Quite the contrary. When somebody tells you have fun, what they're really saying is execute properly, and then it's fun. See, everybody thinks fun is just about joking and laughing. No, it's the execution, being good at what you do. Do it the best that you can.
You might, outside of football, having fun might be different than working hard and being talented. It might be more about, like, drinking.
You know, see, now some people look at it that way. Get my next group on deck. I need my next group on deck. 76. I'll go with.
Okay, ready?
Hey, guys, have the guy
Which one did you run?
I just did both. I didn't leave each one. I just did.
Let's take a game. Let's take a look.
Group number 9 is going to be 41, 43.
All right, that's respectful.
Is it? What is it? 5-4. It's the slowest time we've been so far.
Going that slow.
What's a 40 for you?
4-4, 4-5.
So I was only a second slower, which is like within the margin of error.
That's not bad at all, but a second is like 10 meters in track, so.
When you're driving a car, they say like the margin of error is like 10 miles an hour on the speed limit. So what's on this? Like 1 second? It's off by 1 second, then I beat you.
You got me. You got me. You got me, boss.
He said I'm a defensive lineman speed. You're a defensive lineman. What do I need to know to be a defensive lineman? Oh my gosh. That's so scary. Okay, so I'm going to try the same thing to you.
I'm going to try. I don't think you're going to get it.
All right, Denny's egg sandwich, breakfast, pate, go.
Oh my God.
You didn't block me.
me. You picked me up and moved me and then put me down gently so I didn't hurt myself. Okay. I'm gonna run 10 and turn out.
That was amazing. That catch. No, I'm dead serious. I'm not even joking. I threw it to where I didn't want you to catch it, and you made the Super Bowl catch like Dwight Clark out of nowhere.
Did I stay in?
Oh yeah, I thought I was going to kill you, but
Yeah, the boards are in.
They clapped. They were. It feels good.
I think they clapped that you didn't kill yourself, but that was a great catch. I'm not going to lie.
All right, I think we'll talk. We'll talk. I'll have my agent talk to you about the details.
Despite one very good catch.
I don't know if they personalized every letter, but he did say that I made one good catch. He reminded me that he was surprised that I made a good catch. I've watched that tape before, obviously, but never with people. So I'm more embarrassed this time.
We were rooting for you, buddy. But I was scared for my friend Alex, especially when I saw him stretching. I didn't know you could be bad at stretching, but he's terrible at it. Do you remember any of those dudes that made the team and you were like, yeah?
I would love to. They took 3 people from the audition, and I don't remember who it was.
They don't call them auditions.
The
In
football
sports, it's
audition.
called something else.
That's what you do. It's an audition.
Did you get a call back for that sports? I had a cold read for these sports.
One good catch, great. Let me live in that. You don't have to.
Didn't he do great, ladies and gentlemen? It was incredible. We were all rooting for you.
I'm all right, you guys. Are you ready for your next guest? Yeah! He is the author of so many things, including Casanova, Sex Criminals, and Hawkeye. Please welcome Matt Fraction! So Matt,
Thanks for having me.
You are, you were very cool, and you do a lot of cool stuff. This is Casanova, which is one of your books right now. This is Sex Criminals, which got me first printing. Ooh. Yeah, this got me a lot of looks when I was asking for it at Powell's. And then also Hawkeye, of course. Let's talk about some of your stuff. Sure. You had been kind of an online snarker of comic books before you were a writer of comic books?
Like back in the day, not everybody, the internet sort of social media hadn't quite become what it is.
Right.
But it was kind of coming out of the swamp.
So wait, so you were mean to comic books on the internet when there were only like 30 people on the internet?
Yeah. But the other 29 people all worked in comics.
So do you work with people that you wrote about?
Yeah, I spent the first half of my career having to apologize for the last half of a couple other people's careers. Yeah.
I think that's. I mean, I would love to say.
I also never said anything I wouldn't say to somebody's face.
Right.
So that was like my one sort of rule was like if it isn't something I wouldn't say to somebody with the expectation of them being punched, But like I would say, I could, I came from art school, so I sort of learned to speak critique at a young age.
Right.
And like just kind of the culture that I came from and had. Now when I think about it, I'm not embarrassed by like the snarky stuff because I think it's actually funny when it works, but just by that sort of brazen. I'm just going to assume you're a peer of mine because I too make things. So let's speak as equals, professional, and I'm, like that's the thing that I'm embarrassed by now is that I had no problem coming up to adults who were making a living and just being like, well, here, look, I made this thing. Now let us talk because we're alike.
Pre-peers, though. You actually did become their peers.
Yes.
Which does not happen for most comedies.
Yeah, that's the weird part.
Or Brock is really who it is, but he's all the comedies. But so actually what's interesting, one of the things I noticed, especially in Casanova, is you're very aware of comic books, and you, like, especially in Casanova, you'll comment on the genre from inside. So like you still have that eye where you're still interested in talking about how you can push this forward.
Yeah, I think about the stuff all the time.
Well, you do it for
which is sad.
and
So,
that would come up, yeah.
But Casanova was the first time I had a chance to write a comic book with staples in it, and I was convinced nobody would ever offer me the chance again. So I put everything I possibly could into making a comic that I wanted to read instead of like, here's the world 9,000th, shitty Batman ripoff or whatever. I'm going to make this thing that doesn't exist. I'm going to make this thing that I've always wished existed. And eventually you kind of run, like, what am I thinking about? What am I talking about? I'll think about comics a lot, so why not have a character just address camera? Why not have God come in and narrate and.
So do you think because you were a fan of it that gave you that opportunity to have, like you spent a lot of time thinking about them when not from the inside, so you maybe thought of ways you could expand it? And
just
things that weren't done?
It's a very stale medium for a medium so young, because it's kind of, look, when you can spend $6,000 to put a comic out in the world and get a return on investment upwards of $1 billion, you actually can't beat that. Like that cannot be beat. You can't Walking Dead, for example, my buddies make Walking Dead, right? Yeah. Like the money those guys spent to put those first issues of Walking Dead out, we could, all of us right now with the money in our pockets, put it in a pile in the middle of this room. Like it does not cost a lot of money to publish a black and white comic book.
Right.
And it is now the cornerstone of a empire. Anywho, when it's not going away, and so I just part of it's being bored and like being like a film nerd and kind of wanting to do something different, something new, and because there's so much of the same thing, people trying to chase after that success, right? Like Batman made $1 billion, we have to make Batman or whatever, Wolverine.
Or literally, let's just make Batman again. Every 6 years.
We've got to reboot the reboot. So
yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like if Pixar was like, we're just going to redo Toy Story again with different characters.
No, the same characters.
That. Yeah,
it's the same characters, just a little different.
Right. This time they're taller.
Well, the Spider-Man thing. I got to go see that at what's it called? The movie theater in New York. Ziegfeld, the old movie. There was like the premiere, and it was a whole thing, and like, there's this bit in the movie where it's like, the one thing that's always haunted me is who my parents are. Like, that's not what haunts Spider-Man. In fact, anyone who has spent any time with the first Spider-Man story, 9 pages long, it's all there. Why hasn't there been a good Spider-Man movie? Because someone thinks, well, we can do better than these 9 pages. You actually can't.
Well, that's a totally interesting point, except that you have done something with Hawkeye that no one has done with Hawkeye before.
Right, just rip off the Rockford Files.
No one had thought of that before.
No, crazy like a fox.
Have you guys read Hawkeye? Have you guys read his Hawkeye? Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Wow, that's f***ing liars.
I thought you meant the MASH character. Yeah, I read him.
There's a whole conversation. Somebody in the that's a.
I mean, even if you're just ripping off the Rockford Files, like there's number 11 is entirely from the point of view of his dog.
Right.
And the pizza dog, and that is
who solves the crime?
He solves crime.
The dog solves the crime.
And if you haven't seen it, it's like when he hears talking, there's just squiggles, except when there's a word he knows, like pizza or his name, and then those are words, and everything, and then he solves the crime, and
then like 3 issues later, you get that whole conversation from a human POV.
Yeah,
because
So you're actually, the same thing that's a problem with people, the way people are doing Spider-Man, you're not doing that. You're doing something completely different with Hawkeye than people have done it. That's really impressive.
Well, thank you.
How does that, is it because you were thinking about it before? Is it because you just don't take authority that seriously?
Oppositional defiance disorder will get you through life. Flying colors. No, I wanted to write the book I wanted to read. Yeah. And I like him as a character. Like he's the regular guy on the Avengers. He was Jeremy Renner in the movie. So he's the guy who wait, why do you get to be in this movie? Why are you here?
So tell me then, what are you doing? What was your tell us about sex criminals?
Sure, sex criminals, the good ones.
So they're people who have sex and commit crime. They're not like
correct.
Yes, okay.
There's it's not, finally a comic book for the rest of us. There's actually a photo cover with me and the artist on it, because it has been a ridiculous. This and Hawkeye have been the 2 biggest successes of my career to date. neither one of them you'd have bet on if you saw the odds. And we have now gone to what is all in the 9th printing of the first issue of Sex Criminals. So we just put us on the cover, and he's holding the first issue in his lap. He's holding that in his lap, and I have my hands on his shoulder. And my uncle saw the cover, and his comment was, "I would have thought twice before putting my photograph next to a thing that says Sex Criminals."
Yeah, that's brave.
But I was just coasting on victory fumes, I guess. But yeah, so I want to do a sex comedy because I love, like, as a genre, like I love sex. I love Billy Wilder movies and the sort of like post-Apatow kind of school of that stuff now. Like I love that genre, and there's never really been one the way I saw it in comics. There's been things sort of similar, but not like this. So it's a comedy. It's a sex comedy about a girl who, when she has an orgasm, time freezes, and this makes the act of sex kind of isolating and depressing, as you may imagine. And then got us sold.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Right.
Perhaps it's a metaphor.
Yeah, right. Well, so one day she goes to a party and hooks up with a guy with a lot of change in his pocket, and but they
Match fraction.
Hang on a second, Matt. I'll call you back.
Nice. That was a good catch. That'll catch in a minute. She has sex with a guy at a party, and as she pretends to enter her kind of 15-20 minutes of lonely quiet time, she discovers he is there with her, and he has the same gift. And the two of them...
That's so beautiful. I'm totally your audience.
No, but she's a librarian, and the bank is foreclosing on this library she works at, and they decide that they're going to start to kind of like I guess like the Jason Statham movie Crank. They decide they're going to have sex, freeze time, and rob banks. Basically, they rob the bank to give the money back to the bank to keep the library open. So they're sex-having criminals.
And they get to get laid before it. That's a really good night.
How do you come up with these characters? A sexy librarian?
That's the thing. No. A sex-having librarian.
A sex-having librarian?
And that is different.
Yeah, that is different. I hope she takes her hair down and shakes it.
All this and more.
Yeah, and that's just one issue.
Yeah, it's just one.
Yeah.
So would you say this is the thing to get right now?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And you can be timely. Angoulême in France is this little town that the last week of January, for 10 days, gives itself over to comics, like an international comics festival, and Hawkeye is well represented there and is up for an award. It's not going to win, but this morning I woke up and people in France were sending me pictures of giant Hawkeye advertisements in French. Check out Hawkeye and Sex Criminals.
If you haven't, the issue 11, you got to get some backstory. You got to read around it. But the dog issue is really one of the most delightful things that I've ever experienced. You really should get that as well.
And now we're about to do one that's all in sign language. Right? It's a visual language.
Yeah,
right? Comics are a visual language, so it's going to be all in sign language. Two of the characters will be speaking sign language and no other sounds in the book.
So you've obviously got tenure at Marvel now, right? You can just say, like, I'm going to do whatever, and then they don't question you. You can
No. I just lost a big gig. Yeah.
Oh.
So, and it's cool. That's fine. It's good. But no. It remains very much an editorial-driven business. No one expected this to last more than 6 issues. They just wanted, hey, he's in the movie. Maybe people want to read it. So that it has become this monster thing is as confusing to them as it is to me.
Oh, and what's your Excalibur Comics said to say hi? It's on Twitter that they've missed you.
Sex Criminals would not exist without them.
Oh,
I was kind of protesting the idea, and it's not a easy sale. Mm-hmm. And Excalibur is a pretty solid mainstream shop. Like they do a lot of Hawkeye business. They do a lot of superhero stuff. And I was like, hey, how would you feel about it? And they were super into it, super supportive. So go buy Sex Criminals at Excalibur. It's spiritual homeland.
And if you go there, they will not look at you weird. Whereas if you go to Powell's and you start with, I would like to buy Sex Criminals. Right? At least warm them up first. That's my advice.
I was trying to convince Chip that we should call the collection Prince Albert in a Can.
That would be fun. Pick them up.
It might be called Teen Sex USA.
They're in finer comic book shortstops all around the city. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Fraction, everybody. Matt Fraction, Ladies and gentlemen, the Samadams!
y'all.
Tuesday thought the scenery around your head. But you're a long way round the backstairs. California wasteland, touch the back of my bed. Down, down, I'm your phantom. Down, down, I'm your over. Down, down, I'm your cherry. Down, down, firework. Of the stranger days that we've been living, they must have found a way to eat through your walls. The fatten of the very dead to heaven. Oh, 10 days behind the 8 ball. 10, 9, I feel like crying. 8, 7. Who's gonna count it down? 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. Once you forget, once you forget.
Sam@dams.com. Thank you guys so much for being here. And thank you guys for being here.